Hello everyone, it's Miss Leslie again. We're going to be reading a new close read passage about the Yellow River. This is an extremely important river in China. This passage will relate to our other passage about the Nile. And after reading closely this new passage, we're going to be comparing and contrasting how the Yellow River and the Nile River are similar and different. Once again, we're going to be responding to questions using text evidence to justify our answers. Remember, a close read requires rereading, and this is going to take some time. We always want to justify our answers by citing text evidence and what we already know. You are free to pause this video, go back and rewind some parts if you need to hear them again. Tomorrow we'll be taking a short quiz about the Yellow River passage and the Nile passage. You will be free to use your text to help you, and this will be done on Google Forms. So we're going to be typing some of our answers. So let's get ready to begin. The Yellow, China's mother river. For almost 10,000 years, the Chinese people have lived along the Yellow River. Ruins from even further back in the Stone Age can be found along its banks. It begins in the mountains of southwestern China and flows 3,395 miles east and north before emptying into the Yellow Sea. On its journey, it passes through steep gorges, fertile farmland, and big cities. Okay, I'm going to stop for a second and think aloud. Already in my head, I'm starting to think about how the Yellow River compares to the Nile. I'm noticing how it's talking about the fertile farmland in the big cities, and also that it's really an old river and it's been around for a long time and it's very long. So already I'm seeing some similarities that might be helpful when I take my quiz tomorrow. Over the years, the Chinese have had different ways of referring to this mighty river. Each name describes an important quality of the river. It is called the Yellow River because of its color. The yellow comes from yellow dust called less that blows into the river from deserts in northern China. The less is fertile. When it washes over farmland, it restores their ability to grow necessary crops. However, the floods of the Yellow River can also bring death and destruction. China's history is filled with accounts of terrible flooding after heavy rains. The damage from these floods has given the river another of its names, China's sorrow. Wow, so already I'm thinking about the names that were given to this river. And it's really interesting to me how this river has so many good things about it, like restoring the soil to grow crops, and also something so bad like floods that they would actually name it China's sorrow. So I'm thinking about the good effects and negative effects that have happened from the Yellow China's river, and also how that compares to some of the good and bad things about the Nile. The Yellow's rich waters used to be full of fish, turtles, and other animals. Its water was also challenged into irrigation ditches. With the Yellow's water, Chinese farmers could grow rice and other crops to feed its millions of people. The earliest Chinese cities grew up along the river. It provided not only food, but also a means of transportation. Early irrigation projects provided crops to feed soldiers stationed on the Great Wall. Because of these influences, the river is also called Mother River. It was the mother to Chinese civilization. Others refer to the Yellow as the cradle of Chinese people. Wow, some interesting facts here. First, if I were you, I would maybe do a quick Google search on irrigation so you can see a picture of that, and also the Great Wall, which is a super awesome, cool, giant wall in China. That might be something interesting for you to look at. I'm going to go back to the text now and think about these names given to this river and how it relates to the positive aspects of this river. I really like the part where they're calling it Mother River because it really created this Chinese civilization. Does that make you think about Egyptian civilizations? Makes me think about it. I'm also thinking about how this river provided food for almost the entire country. Again, I'm thinking back to the Nile and how the Nile was important in feeding the people of Egypt. Another good comparison you might want to remember for tomorrow. One final name emphasizes the symbolic importance of this river to the Chinese people. A symbol of the United States is the bald eagle. In the same way, China's symbol is the dragon. Another name of the Yellow River is the Yellow Dragon. This river reminds many Chinese of the curling tail of a great dragon, China itself. Today, however, the Yellow Dragon is in serious trouble. After decades of rapid economic development, China's environment is polluted. Thousands of factories belch smoke into its air. Factories, farms, and cities with millions of residents dump many different kinds of waste into its rivers. In many places, the Yellow River cannot support any fish life. Its water cannot be used to water crops. Animals that drink it die within a few hours. Wow, this really surprised me because when I started reading about this river, it sounded amazing how it fed all these people. There were sea life and turtles in there, and how important it was to the early civilizations. Now, however, it doesn't sound like a place I'd want to visit. And looking at that picture in the corner, I don't think that would be any type of water I would want to drink. Boy, that sounds a little bit different than the Nile, and also it reminds me of some of the negative effects of the Nile today as well. So another comparison we want to start thinking about. Water pollution is not the only threat. China's mother. Over the past 50 years, dozens of dams have been built on the river. China's growing population needs electric power that dams provide. Dams can also control the flooding that has caused so much sorrow. However, the dams on the Yellow have caused more problems. The Less backs up behind them in huge quantities, spreading out in all directions. In addition, dams destroy homes that end up under reservoirs. One huge dam made 400,000 people homeless. Can China's ancient Yellow Dragon survive its journey into the 21st century? Okay, boys and girls, be thinking now about what the most important topic is of that last paragraph. I feel like they're posing a really important question to us. This incredibly important river, can it still be useful today? Are the negative effects far too detrimental to help support China? Let's think about that last question. Can China's ancient or old Yellow Dragon, meaning the river, survive its journey into the 21st century? The 21st century is our century now, where we live today. So are we going to be able to save the river? What can we do to save it? Let's think about that as a deeper question that maybe you can come in tomorrow with some ideas about how you feel would be some good things that we could do to help save the Yellow River in China. Now that we have finished reading 2 passages about rivers, let's think about some questions to ponder. In other words, questions to think about. What are some similarities and differences of the Yellow River and the Nile River? In other words, how are these rivers the same and different? Both the Nile River and Yellow River were important to the people of Egypt and China. In what ways? I'd be looking for some specific evidence from the text to justify this. What are some negative effects that can be attributed to these 2 rivers? So, in other words, what were some bad things that happened because of these rivers? If you were to visit one of these rivers, which would you choose and why? So again, looking for some specific examples or evidence from the text to help support or justify your answers. We'll be looking more deeply into these questions tomorrow when we do a Google form on the Chromebooks. I hope you enjoyed learning about these 2 rivers, and I can't wait to see you all tomorrow. Bye.